it was 98 the year that I should have made it through points through the Opens, and all that stuff happened down at St. John, at the St. John's River, and it took me out of points.
You should have made it where through the points?
I would have qualified through points in 1998
for the top 100.
For the top 100 that year. Yeah, and it didn't work out, and but the interesting thing is, the next year, I made it through points, and I won the Federation Nationals that next year and made the Classic in the same year. That was a really critical year for me.
That had to be frustrating as hell.
It was frustrating.
I mean, you're trying to live your dream.
Yeah.
You qualified to be one of the best in the world.
Yep.
You were DQ'd what you thought to be something that you didn't do anything wrong.
Yep.
And you that had to be a horrible
it was terrible
scenario for
It was
you.
a terrible scenario. It was terrible. In fact, I remember it's probably one of the first times that I said, do I want to continue this? Why am I bringing myself through the ringer? To make matters worse, I felt like there was a stigma around being a young guy from the Northeast. I really did, especially with that DQ. I felt like it was the old Southern regime not wanting another Yankee fishing. I really did. I still believe that today. Regardless, it was frustrating. It left a really bad taste in my mouth. But I wanted to do it. I still wanted. I wanted to accomplish that. I wanted to, maybe not as much as revenge, but it's something I wanted to do. And I think it's happened before that it happened, but that next year there was this drive, this really deep subconscious determination to go out and focus on just doing it, just getting it done, and having 3 good open events and making it. And so I think I was brought down so much. I felt like they were clawing me down. But that pushed me further the next year. So again, I look back on that. If I didn't get DQ'd, if there wasn't that frustration, that burn inside, that being pissed off, I don't know that I would have came out the next year and fished like I fished. That next year, that following year, 99, I fished out of my mind. I fished insane. I fished, at a level at which I've only fished at a few other times in my career. And I think it was directly related to that. I think there was something deep down inside, that some button that was pushed, that I fished like a maniac. I kicked butt through the Opens. I qualified for the top 100s. I was New Jersey Federation Man of the Year. I won the BFL points title. I made the Federation Nationals, and I won the Federation Nationals in Shreveport, all in the course of a year and a half.
That's got to be one of the most amazing years anybody's ever had.
It was pretty unbelievable. But you take all that Walt Reynolds, Jim Bitter mess that happened, you take that out of the equation, would that have happened? I don't know.
Well, the good news is you had to feel confident that had you not had to go through that DQ nonsense, that you did it.
Oh yeah,
you did it.
Yeah,
So
you start to look at where you fall in the averages, and when you're at least above half consistently, you say, well, I can hang with these guys, and you start to get more confidence in yourself on finding fish, especially in multiple day tournaments. That was a big thing in the Opens for me, was breaking down big bodies of water and fishing multiple day events. You had to get good at that. That was different than what we did at the club. It was different than what we did at the one day red man events, 1 day federation events. So at that point, I was getting confident. I was getting confident of where I was standing up compared to other guys all across the country. And I was getting confident in my ability to break a place down, which is a tough thing to do. 30, 40, 50,000 acres in a couple days of practice. It's a tough thing to do.
Not to mention fishing reservoirs, which we don't have where we grew up?
Reservoirs, Florida, tannic, acidic, all these things that we don't see, especially on a big scale. Yeah, man-made generation, dam, them pulling a dam. You're right, we don't have that, so it was a good feeling. It was a good feeling to know that, that you could hang.
Now he's got another fish on right here, and Iaconelli has been targeting the shallow flats off of some points, and I'll tell you, he's got some super duper areas to fish. All right, woo! Michael, unbelievable. I'll tell you what, one man's misfortune is another man's good fortune. We'll see how it turns out for you later in the... Oh my gosh, did you see the rod blow out of the boat? A smallmouth must have come up and grabbed the bait while it was hanging over the edge, and he's got him. He's got a 3-pounder. It's unreal. I can't believe he's got this bass. He was going for his other bait.
I put the other rod down, grabbed my other rod to catch the fish, and he come up and eat it anyway.
But Iaconelli's 3-day total catch was enough to hold off the always competitive Klein and claim first place. 61 pounds and 3 ounces. 61.3.
It almost built up too much false confidence, I think, leading into the top 100s. I think it took a year to catch up with me, but all that confidence. I was going on a couple years now of not being ripped down back to reality, and sometimes that can be a bad thing. You need that dose of reality every once in a while.
You have to lose in order to win.
That's right.
And that's what most champions will tell you that.
That's right.
Now at this point, we've heard about Pop's Tackle Box.
Yeah.
The Topwater Bassmasters as being your influence. Is there, who else is helping you? Who else is teaching you? Who are the important people that show you how to fish? Are you doing it yourself, or how's it?
Yeah.
How's it doing? How's it happening?
Yeah, for me, from that stage, from early teens all the way through what we're talking about, which is mid-20s, I didn't have a mentor that fished professionally. I didn't have a guy that I could lean on until I met you. That's serious. Until I met you, which was through the Opens, the first time we started to talk, maybe even a little earlier than that, there was no one else I could really run anything by from a professional standpoint. From a technique standpoint, who I leaned on was the information sources. I went to Bassmaster University as a student lots and lots of times. Every video, at the time, the VHS cassette, every video, I devoured them, man. Every magazine, devoured them. And so, I was learning on my own and then feeding on my peers, feeding on my club guys, my federation guys, the guys I travel with, Redmans and BFLs, feeding off of them, but learning a lot of that on my own. The big question mark to me up to that point, even with having a degree and having some knowledge from working from Dick's, is how does this sport work? How do you actually make a living? Because it surely can't be through earnings only. There has to be another part to it. And that really, a lot of that came from knowing you and learning, watching you and learning from you on what I needed to do.
But you're not wearing the khakis.
Right. Well, I was early on. I was wearing. I was. Yeah. It's funny because when I look at it, my federation, my Redman days, all the way up to my first year on tour, I very much tried to fit the mold. Very much did. Besides the hair. My hair, all in through college and even after college a little bit, I had some weird hair and some weird facial hair. But besides that, I had the vest. I had my shirt tucked in. I had the khaki pants. I tried to do what you were doing and what Denny was doing and what Gary Klein and Kev. I tried to watch you guys and emulate what you were doing. But a thing happened, I think, second, third year of my career that was really a changing point for me on who I was, not only in my life, but who I was in the fishing world. That was a big moment. I mean, we missed a lot, but that was a big moment for me.
Well, what was a big moment?
So, you know, my second year of my career, which was 2000, I failed to qualify for the Classic that year. And that same year, my uncle Don, who, you know, growing up, I didn't have a dad, so he was like my father figure, like literally, you know, was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. And that honestly changed, you know, it wasn't me, but it was life-changing for me because there was no way he was coming out of that. There was no way. There's 99% chance that he had 5 years or less to live, you know? And it really, I'm looking back on it, changed my outlook on a lot of things, you know? Changed my outlook, I think, on my work ethic, changed my outlook on living life who I was to the fullest every day. You know, there's a lot of things that go through your mind when you feel like you're going to lose, you know, a dad, you know, which he was. And so the next year was a big year for me of kind of letting go a little bit. And it happened to coincide with a win on Lake Seminole, which is the first time that I kind of let go on film. And that was a changing moment for me because I realized that people accepted that more than they accepted me trying to fit in. It was a big moment for me of just realizing that it's okay to be yourself. The dress, the way your mannerisms, music, all that stuff. You didn't have to go to the Christian meeting before the tournament, you know, that's great, you know, and that's amazing, you know, I think it's great, but you don't have to do that. You can be who you are, you know, and that was a big year for me on just kind of letting go and again, not conscious of it, but looking back on it, that was the start of a brand for me. That was the start of the Ike brand, you know. It's weird talking about yourself in third person, but that was the start of it, you know. And it wasn't me consciously doing it. A couple years later, when we sat down and we started to say, wait a minute, we were conscious of it then, but when it was happening, I wasn't conscious of it. But that's what happened, you know. It's interesting. That was a big moment.
That's a huge moment.
Yeah.
And now Uncle Don is doing good.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. He beat it. We thought something was up because he was going through all this extreme treatment, drugs, radiation, chemo, all these things that go through a stage 4 cancer patient. And, you know, I remember him coming back and the doctors, he went through all this extreme, you know, radiation and everything. He never lost a stitch of hair. And the doctors are all like, you know, they're dumbfounded. They're all like looking around. He still looks like one of the Beatles, you know? He's like 3 months into this chemo treatment. Dude, it's fluffy, it's big. They're all there. Huge, giant mushroom head, you know? And I think that was the first time where the doctors were like, you know? And he beat it. It's amazing. All these years later, you know?
That's
freaking
amazing.
Beat it.
He was there from the start.
Yeah.
He was there when you won at Lake Norman.
At Lake Norman. He was there when I learned how to fish. He was there when I caught that first bass. He was, you know, he was there for every moment. It was unbelievable.
He's probably here today.
He's here today. He's upstairs. He's listening.
That's great, and he's always been there for you. And
yeah,
that's been an amazing influence in your life.
Yeah, big time.
What other influences in your life? Who else can you think of?
You know, there's a lot. I mean, I think that you get a lot of life influences from your family and your friends. And then I think you get a lot of professional influences from your peers and guys you look to, you know? So my life influences, for sure, my uncle, my mom, my grandfather, my grandmom, you know, all those guys. Probably more than anything on work ethic. I think that's old culture. You know, they're from South Philly. You know, they're just blue collar working people that you work hard, and you know, if you're not the best at something, you just work a little harder at it. And you know, that I think instilled in me in my career, because I still don't think I'm that. I think there are guys you look at in the sport, Aaron Martins, Van Dam, you know, Hackney, you know, Prosnick, Dudley, that are just like, dude, they're a fish. It's like this weird, they know. And I don't think, I think to get to that level, you got to have a little bit of that. But for me, it's always been, you know, dark to dark, just, you know, work, dig in. And that's helped me. And I think that was instilled from my family. I think, you know, from my peers, there's been a lot of things professionally, you know, looking at what other anglers do, their style of fishing, how they conduct themselves in public. You know, again, getting back to you, model a lot of my professional career off of what you've done. You know, it's important. It's important to have that there. You know, before I won the Bassmaster Classic in 2003, turmoil, mass destruction, explosions, fire everywhere, man. From a personal standpoint, gosh, my life was in the tubes, man. You know, leading up to that year, you know, gone through a breakup, you know, gone through a relationship that just was over, you know, not blaming anything on anybody. It was just done. That's hard to swallow, you know, for anybody that's been through it, you know, a breakup and a divorce, especially when there's kids involved, it's a very traumatic thing. It's a tough thing. You know, you want to, there's failure and you hate that, you know, and you want to put reason to it, you know, and when I fail in a tournament, I could say, well, I should have did this, and you try to put reasons to it. And there was a lot of that going on, you know, so, you know, my uncle was in remission, and that was great, but I'm headed for a divorce. Some of the sponsors aren't working out great. I'm having an amazing season in the Opens that qualify me for the 2003 Classics, but my elite season's terrible. It's horrible. I'm in the 60s or 70s every event. You know, honestly, I'm going into the Classic. I'm going into August 2003. In my mind, hating on the sport of fishing, hating professional fishing, blaming it for every negative thing that's ever happened in my life, man. Blaming it all on professional fishing. You know, I'm going into that tournament pretty much with the mindset that, you know what, man, fishing has ruined my life. It's taken away my kids. It's destroyed my marriage. I'm not making any real money. You know what? I'm out. I'm leaving it. I'm disgusted with it. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm going to wash my hands of it. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my teaching certificate, and I'm going to now do something I love, which is teaching. I'm going to teach kids. That's what I'm going to do. As far as I went and got all the literature for the praxis exam, I'm going back to rowing. I'm going to fish this one last tournament, go out with a bang, and I'm done. I'm quitting. I swear to you, dude, that's my mindset.
I thought we were going to Australia.
Well, Australia was the second. If the teaching thing didn't work out, we can go to Australia. But you know, dude, we were really we were tight at that point, and you were on the drive with me. I was pretty frustrated with everything.
We shared that.
Yeah.
Right? We had both had personal relationships that were destroyed, probably through fishing.
Right.
We were both from the Northeast,
doing
very well in tournament fishing. Had a couple wins.
Yep.
Could not get the sponsor's eye.
Yep.
We were frustrated financially and personally.
Yep.
We were frustrated together. We shared that together.
Yep.
And well, tell us what happened next.
Yeah. So there's, you know, you have all those emotions, and the easy thing to do is just place the blame. And the thing that was right there for both of us and me was fishing. That's all fault of fishing. Throw it all on the back of fishing, you know, because that's what you love to do, and that's your passion. That's what got you to this point. So it's got to be fishing's fault, you know. So, man, I'm going to fish this tournament. I'm going to fish as hard as I've ever fished, and then I'm out. This is my last event. I'm going to go out with a bang. And boy, did I. did I go out with a bang.
It was pretty amazing to watch.
You know, looking back, it's happened several times, but you fish a tournament, and sometimes it happens for half a day or a full day, or sometimes it happens over a series of days, and it's almost like you're outside of your body, like looking in. You know, you're like looking at what's happening. That's what happened at that event to me. It was unbelievable. And, you know, had 1 day of practice back then. You only had 1 day. And I run all the way from New Orleans all the way down to Venice. And I get down there where I found this little pond in pre-practice, and I'm, you know, excited, but not, you know, still just screw it. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'm out. This is my last one. And I get down there, and in 2 hours have like 30 bites. Like everywhere I pitch, doing, doing, doing. And, you know, you're like, is this happening? You know, it's like unbelievably unreal. And run down there the first day of the tournament. Dude, I can remember this like it was nothing. This huge 2.5 hour run. And I don't have a care in the world, dude. I'm running waypoints, but I don't even have a trail. I'm just running across the Gulf of Mexico, oil rigs. I don't care. Whatever. It don't matter. This is my last tournament anyway. Who cares? Get all the way down there. Go through this little tiny, wide as the boat, canal, rows of cane, reeds on either side. Getting through there, and I can just start to see my pond. And I said, let me get off pad. Come off pad. Take my vest off. Still don't care. Don't have a care in the world. Throw the trolling motor down. I'm kind of drifting into that pond, to the mouth of that pond. Grab out a Texas rig worm. Grab out a couple different baits. Baby -1, a jig. Grab that worm, throw it out there. First cast of the Bassmaster Classic. Everything's calm. There's a little mist on the water. There's still nobody around. My ears are ringing from the ride. Don't.
Back over to Iaconelli.
Paybacks.
This is the first time we've seen him when he wasn't sitting on his flat.
3-pounder. Put it in the live well. 3-pounder, 2-pounder, 3-pounder, 2-pounder. 5 keepers and 5 casts. The first day of the Bassmaster Classic. Like, unbelievable. Like, is this happening? Like, weird. Just weird. And that's kind of how that whole event went. Even to the point where the second day, I had a mechanical issue going down. I'm broke down in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico the second morning on my run down to here. I gotta have that morning window. That's my best bite. I'm broke down. Normally, dude, fit of rage, things being broken. And I just kind of like, whatever. Just calm, poop, whatever. This is my last tournament. Get on the phone, call the Yamaha service tech, walks me through something, take this hose off, do this, try to start it. Turns over. I lose like 20, 30 minutes. A lot for that tournament, but not a big deal. Down there, limit again. You know, it was that kind of event. And it's funny that going into it, I was so certain that I was done with fishing.
Big one! Big one! Oh my God! It was a giant. It's gonna be caught on something. This is a giant. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's the winning fish. Ah! Ah! Woo! Never give up! Never give up! Ah! Woo! Oh my God! I can't believe it. Oh my God, we were just talking about it. Oklahoma, that one's for you, baby. Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Oh my God, I love it! Thank you, Lord! Oh my God!
This is New Jersey's Michael Iaconelli! Michael Iaconelli, a chance to be crowned the 2003 Simcoe Bassmasters Classic champ. You need 9-3. Watch the scales. 10 pounds, 14 ounces! Classic champion!
And how quickly that can change, you know? And how I think even when it was happening, it hadn't set in, you know, lifting that trophy up over your head, all that emotion, your dreams from when you were a teenager being realized, it's all swelling through you at one time. But you know, it really wasn't until that drive home that I realized that my life was changed and that I would stay in the sport. And that was a really cool thing because you were with me on that drive home. And that was the moment at which I realized that, you know, this was a sign for me to stay in the sport. This was an opportunity to do some amazing things. And how do we do those things, you know? That was more the moment that changed my life than actually winning. I always talk about, you know, the moment that changed my life and I was, you know, stopped me from quitting was winning. Yeah, that sort of was, but that drive back was really what changed my mind. And that realization that, you know what, it wasn't fishing's fault that all that stuff was happening. Was fishing a part of it? Probably. But fishing was the scapegoat for me and for you. Fishing was the scapegoat. That's what we wanted to blame. And that was a really amazing time to see that had this opportunity to do something with the win. It was an amazing time. It was an amazing time. So you gotta take into context everything I was feeling up to that point, you know, which was despair, frustration, failure, I'm out. And then all of a sudden, now, wait a minute. You've got a chance to win the Classic and fulfill a childhood dream and change your life. And you know, all that was leading up to the last day. And you're in the lead, and you've got to hold it. And there's these guys chasing you down. Gary Klein, and these big names chasing you down. Mark Menendez, oh my God. And I don't know how to describe it, but unless you're a tournament angler, unless you're a hardcore fish head, you might not know, but you sense when you're going to win. Without ever knowing what the other guys are doing, you sense it. It's this really weird feeling that you know. There was no radio, there was no phone conversation. I had no idea how Gary and Mark and all these guys that were chasing me down, that were a pound back, I had no idea how they were doing. But I knew up until 1 o'clock that I did not have the tournament won. I had 2 good ones and 3 little ones, and it was tough. The tide was terrible. I beat on them for 2 days, my fish weren't biting. I knew that I was gonna come this close and not do it. I just knew it deep down inside. I knew I needed one more big fish. So imagine that building up inside, swelling up inside, you know? The failure, the disappointment, the frustration, the chance to win the Classic, all that building up. And it's almost like you're not breathing, you know? And you almost stop breathing totally, but you're so focused on every cast, you know? And I remember that. I remember like looking at my watch and literally counting the seconds down and calculating, okay, if I go to this time, at the very latest, I'll just make it back, you know? I've got till 10 after 1 at the latest, and I remember saying that. And I remember rounding this bend, and I had told my camera guy, at 10 after 1, come hell or high water, we gotta leave. And so at like 8 after 1, he remembers this, and he comes up behind me with the camera. He goes, all right, Mike, he's doing his job. He's doing a really good job. All right, Mike, tell me what you're feeling right now. Tell me what's going through your mind. So I'm a freaking mess. There's all these things going on in my mind, but I'm trying to stay like that the whole time. And I'm literally telling them, we just got to keep fishing, man. We just got to keep fishing. I'm one bite away. I know I need one more. I got to get rid of one of those little ones. I'm one fish away. And as he's doing this and I'm talking, I'm reeling a swim worm, little paddle tail worm across the top, and one goes and misses it. I go, and then right when that happened, everything just got black. Everything blacked out. I stopped breathing. I stopped talking. I got tunnel vision, and everything was on autopilot. And I reeled in that worm. I put the rod down without ever looking at the rods, focused on where that boil was at. I picked up a follow-up rod, spinning rod, with a weightless soft plastic on it. Clicked the bail. Perfect cast. Just past the target. Quiet entry. Click the bail back. Bite. Swimming off. Set the hook. Oh my God, this is the fish. This is the fish. And then you start to feel it, I know. I don't know how. I know that if I can land this fish, if I can land this 3.5 pounder, I win. And he gets stuck on a weed. He gets stuck on a clump of milfoil. Oh God, please God. And he comes out. And now all of a sudden he stops fighting because he's got a little grass on his face. And I'm just reeling him. He's just coming. And that moment that I get my hand on that fish, and I don't even pull him right in because it's the death grip I've got on this fish. He doesn't need to come over the gunnel. It just comes out. It all comes out. It all just explodes.
Ah! Ah! Oh my God! I can't believe it. Oh my God, we were just talking about it. Folks at home, that one's for you, baby. Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Oh my God, I love it! Thank you, Lord. Oh my God.
All that, the good, the bad, the negative, the evil, the positive, all erupts. And I grab that fish and that all comes out. And that scream is that energy, that emotion, good and bad, coming out. And I knew I won with that fish. I knew that my life was going to change. I squeezed my chest, squeezed it as hard as I could. It was crazy. It was one of those unbelievable moments in your life that you can look back on. I can look back on that and remember the feeling. Unbelievable.
That was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
That's where the never give up.
Never give up
phrase was coined.
Yep. Came from that. And it was instilled, the never give up was instilled much earlier than that, but that's where it came to life for everybody else. That was instilled for me from when I was that big, from my family, their work ethic. And it was instilled from my uncle beating cancer and all these things. But that's where it came out. And, it's a good fishing motto, and it's a good life motto.
This is New Jersey's Michael Iaconelli! Michael Iaconelli, a chance to be crowned in 2003. Simcoe Bassmaster Classic champ. You need 9-3. Watch the scales. 10 pounds!